What's good, Year 1005 mathematicians? Mr. Herman here, and today's lesson we'll be looking at displaying data. This is from our statistics topic. Now, you'll notice that this log sheet that I have here says sheet exercise 14a. The one that I provided to you on Compass and on Microsoft 365 accidentally says 14c. Now, some of you have jumped at the gun and actually answered the questions for 14c. This is actually quite tricky to do because I haven't gone through the different ways of summarizing data, i.e. measures of center. If you've already completed 14c, then by all means you do not need to do the set work of displaying data, but it is in your best interest to have a look at this video to see what is going on in regards to displaying data. So this will be updated soon. Please don't attempt the questions from 14c, but rather use the sheets from 14a. Again, 14a will also be put up on Compass and Microsoft 365. So displaying data. There aren't not necessarily any sheets that goes along with this, so your best bet is to copy down these notes in regards to displaying data. So this is lesson 2, lesson 14a, not C, displaying data. Now my handwriting on this is not the greatest. It is slowly getting better and better. Before it was really bad. I'm getting the hang of this little tablet that I'm using, so just bear with me. Over probably by the end of this term I'll be a pro at it, but for now you just kind of have to deal with some scribbled writing. So, displaying data. Remember, data is just collected information. We collect information again through surveys, questionnaires, tallies, through polls, popularity polls, through experiments, and through surveys. The most important one is surveys. We get that information, we collect it. Now, we can display this information in different ways. We can display this information numerically, or as a list. We can display it through tables, specifically frequency tables, or we can display this graphically through bar charts, histograms, pie charts, stem and leaf plots, you name it. You've probably heard of those terms before in previous years, either in secondary school or in primary school, because we've seen these types of displaying data forms even in the news as well, and in the newspaper. Okay. Very easy to get lost within the language of data, especially if it's just given to you as a list. So this is why statisticians came up with different ways of displaying data, so it makes it a bit more easy for us to read and to view and interpret. And then we can also look at ways of displaying data to make assumptions about that data, about that collected information, and to also make predictions about them as well. Okay, so displaying data. When we look at displaying data graphically, when we display data graphically, we can think of different forms of charts or bars. So first one, bar charts. Some of you may have heard of, some not. Histograms, another one. Stem and leaf plots. Pie charts, dot plots, line graphs, bar charts, histograms, stem and leaf plots, box plots, also known as box and whisker plots, or box and tail plots I've heard of before. Now these are a few of many ways that we can display data graphically. We can also display data through tables. And the most common one that pops up, the most used one, is what we call a frequency table. A frequency table. And frequency, the word frequency, all frequency means is just count. Okay? Frequency just means the count of something. So when we're talking about frequency tables, we're just talking about counter tables. So what we're going to look at is a way that we can show frequency tables through an example. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can find an example somewhere floating around in the world of Google, and we can make a frequency table, and I can also extract the different characteristics of what a frequency table entails, so that way you know how to properly create a frequency table. I'll be right back, guys. Alright, so right here, this is some information that I use just for example. I just created my own table for this example. Right here, we have what we call a frequency table. And there are specific titles that are relevant to this information. So say for instance a survey was conducted, and the survey question was, what is the bank of your choice? Okay, so bank of choice. Bank of choice. And within here, there are different banks, so 6 different banks. And the 3 different titles that we have are tally, frequency, and the percentage. The tally is just another way of counting how many people belong to that category, but this is done through the dashes or lines that go down. So right now, I know that 4 people, hypothetically, went to Westpac. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 dashes. For now, there is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. If a line cuts across in the middle, it counts as 5. And then 1 more to make 6. Commonwealth Bank was 2. IGA was 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. ANZ was 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And Bendigo Bank was 4. No, was it? No, that's 3. Yeah, we got 4. Cool. So, the frequency is just the tally amount, but written numerically. So, 4, Westpac, 6, NAB, 2 for Commonwealth Bank, 8 for IGA, 12 for ANZ, and 4 for Bendigo Bank. So total, you'll leave blank for the tally, but the frequency total is just all of these numbers added up. So we've got 10, 20, 32, 36. So that means all up, 36 people were asked a question, what is your bank of choice? So, once you got the total, the last thing we want to obtain is the percentage. And the percentage is going to be definitely out of 36, because 36 people were asked this question. And how you work out the percentage is the following. It's the total number, or the frequency of the category of choice on the top of a fraction, over the total amount, which in this case is 36. And you just simply multiply this by 100. Okay? So 4 over 36 times 100. I'm going to go ahead and grab out my calculator app. Now with this app, I'm not sure if some of you will have this app, you would just do 4 divided by 36. So top number divided by the bottom number times that by 100. General rule of thumb is to round it to 2 decimal places unless the question specifies otherwise. Because this hypothetical question I made up doesn't, we're just going to mark this as 11.11. 11.11. Remember, this is a percentage, so you need to put the little percentage part there. If the table on the side here has percentage written next to it, you don't have to have that percentage symbol. Because it doesn't, we're going to write percentage next to it. Second one, 6 out of 36. The top number is 6 because the frequency count is 6. Bottom number is 36 times 100. Again, on your calculator, you'll put 6 divided by 36 times 100, 16.67. 16.67. And that is again given as a percentage. I'm going to go ahead and work these out. Once I'm done, you can go ahead and copy this down and you can get the percentage based on the bank of choice. Right, I've gone ahead and filled out the percentage of the bank of choice. Because we have such an inconvenient divisor, I've purposely chosen the number 36 here. We will have decimal numbers. If the number here is a nice, is an even number, but it's also a nice number that can be easily divided into 100, then you will get non-decimal answers, or decimal answers that don't require rounding. You won't get recurring decimals. In this case, you do. What will happen is when you add up the percentage of all of this here, technically you should get 100%. But if you go ahead and actually add this up, you will technically get a different answer depending on how your rounding goes. Okay. Depending on even if you have to round as well. So just to double check, when you add this all up, I'm going to add it up and show you what it tallies up to. In this case here, I got lucky with my adding up because it did add up to 100. Sometimes you might get 99.99 and 99.98 depending on how many decimal numbers are required. I got lucky, I got 100. So here, percentage, and it should be 100% because that counts for 100% of the people that were asked a question, which is 36. So this is the frequency table. When it asks you to create a frequency table within the questions, this is all you have to do to it. Obviously your context will be a bit different, but you will have a tally, you will have a frequency, and you will have a percentage column. The next thing you would want to do is to create what is called a frequency bar chart, also known as a column graph for this information. So what will happen is when the survey was provided, the question is, or was asked, what is your favorite bank? Or what is your bank of choice? And the answer that they provided would be a category. Okay, it's not a number, it is a category. So someone would say Westpac, someone would say NAB, someone would say ANZ. And what this person has done is put a tally or a count and they got a frequency amount. But even though we do have these numbers here to represent what the count and the tally is, it doesn't necessarily mean that the information is numerical. Because the information that was provided to you, or the answer that was provided to this specific surveyor, was a category. Okay? And it was random categories. You can't put these banks in order. There's no measurement to it. So in this case, this is categorical data, but to be specific, it is nominal categorical. Not ordinal, nominal. Okay? So when we deal with categories, and we want to make a bar chart, we go ahead and we create these lines. There's the first one, and there is the second one. Okay, we've got these two lines here. Just going to change my layout options, and then on the bottom will be the 6 different banks of choice. Now you will go ahead and you would put Westpac, NAB, Commonwealth Bank, IGA, ANZ, and Bendigo Bank. Because I'm a bit limited for my space, what I might do is I'm going to label this. Now I don't want you guys doing this shortcut. I'm only doing this for demonstration purposes. But I'm going to label each bank a customer. And by doing so, I'm going to put the numbers over on the bottom. Okay, this is to indicate that that belongs to which bank. Okay, technically you should have the bank names on the bottom, and on the side there's going to be our count. Okay, so the count, a little higher, that's going to be our count or our frequency. Okay, and we need to know the best numbers to put as our frequency. They have to be evenly distributed, and they have to make sure that they're within a scale. I don't want to number these numbers here from 0 all the way to 100 if we know that our highest amount is going to be 12, which is going to be close to the bottom of the line, which is going to be a bit tricky to actually sketch or graph. So we're going to look at the highest one, 12, and maybe we put 14 as our highest. We'll have a look. So maybe we can go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Maybe I might space them out a bit. A bit tricky on my end when we're doing this on a computer. You will go ahead and use a ruler to X this out. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Yeah. And you might get rid of okie dokie. And remove this number. This 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Even though we're not going to go up to 14, it's good just to have that 14 there. Next thing I want to do is I'm going to put arrows at the end of my axes just to indicate that these numbers do technically go on forever. We're going to be within this region here, but in this case we do have to put these arrows. There could be more banks, I'm not too sure. These are the banks on offer, but we'll just have these 6 category banks here. Okay. Alright, last thing we need to have, second last thing, sorry. We need to have a title, and in this case, how convenient. Let's make this our title, Bank of Choice. Bank of Choice will be the title, and we also need labels for each axis. So the label we've used on the side for a frequency count should be on the side here, and just again transfer for space. And the bottom title will just be the bank, because these are the different banks that are represented through here. Now we can just go ahead and put a number associated to the bank itself. So Westpac 4, so bank number 1, you would go ahead and use a ruler, and you would put that bank number 1. It's 4. Bank number 2 is NAM, this will be 6, so this will go 1 up to there. And this will be 6. Now, one really important feature that differentiates itself from this bar chart to a histogram is that because this is talking about categorical data, I need to have a space in between these bars. So 3, bank number 3 is 2. You'll notice that I've left a space here. Okay. There needs to be a space. This is to do with bar charts or column graphs. You need to have a space when we're talking about categorical data. When we're talking about numerical data, if we were to ask a survey question and we got a numbered answer, and we were to go ahead and put this into a histogram, you won't have those spaces in between. Okay. In this case, categorical, you need to have those spaces there. Bank number 4, IGA was 8. This will go all the way to 8. Go ahead, color that in. You can color these in different colors as long as you have a key of some sort. Bank number 5 is 12. All the way to 12, and that's the modal amount, the most common amount, the most popular amount. or the modal bank rather. And bank number 6 is 4. Okay. Alright. Now, this is what we call a column graph. This is to do with categorical data. If you get numerical data, you are to put the spaces. You're not meant to have spaces there. You're meant to put these columns all the way together. And on the bottom, you will have numbers. You will have numbers to display that information, because that's the information that has been provided to you in this survey. In this survey, because we're dealing with banks, you would have the bank names. Again, not to confuse you, after these numbers here, because I can't write the bank names there, it will just be too small and too font. Could have just put them as A, B, C, D, E, F to prove my point. But when you do numerical data, you would put the columns together, and you won't have any spaces, and you would have the numbers on the bottom. Okay? So, what you guys are going to do is you're going to check your log sheet and make sure that you are not using 14C, but rather 14A, and you can go ahead and choose Foundation Standard or Advanced Questions. And that concludes displaying data. If you have any questions during this video or after this video, go ahead and ask me. I'll be on the Microsoft 365 chat. Till then, take care guys. I will see you either in the chat or in the next video. See ya.